Relax. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Welcome to Pillow Talk Radio, the most delicious place to be. On this podcast, we explore how to create more connection, possibility, romance, and magic in love and in life. I'm your host and relationship specialist, Cora Boyd. Are you with me? Hello again. Oh, Pillow Talkers. I just took a long introspective walk in the forest, and I've been living in Seattle for about 2 years, coming on 2 years now. I feel like such a noob. I'm like, yo, have you guys heard of this place called the PNW Forest? It's absolutely magical. Anyway, today's topic I'm really looking forward to bringing to you because it's so interesting. I feel like anytime I'm coaching around something or anytime I want to create content around something, it's because I need to relearn a lesson around it, or I'm currently going through it, or relearning or re-remembering, or whatever it might be. So today's topic, investment, and specifically investment in yourself, is pertinent to me right now because I actually just decided I'm going to be making an investment, a kind of scary stretch zone investment into an experience and a skill set that I know is going to propel me in a direction that I want to go. So I'm fresh in this energy. I just decided I'm going to make this investment. So that is where I'm speaking from, what we're investing in and who we're investing in and how we're investing in ourselves. Something that I talk a lot about with my clients is how investment comes into play in dating, in relationships. And specifically, I lay out a framework for my clients around kind of this metaphor of different like beer on draft levers, and the draft lever of how much we like someone and the draft lever of how much we're investing in someone, and how, despite what our instinct might want to do, where we're like, oh my God, I like them, I like them, I like them, I'm so into them, I'm so excited about them, I see blah, 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 right? And the I like them lever, I'm excited about them lever is going up full blast. And the mistake a lot of people make at that point is they then put the investment lever at full blast. So they are like, I like that. I like invest, 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 invest. When we actually want to be wise in our investment, just like we want to be wise in any kind of investment. And any kind of investment, yes, we want to be wise. Yes, we want some calibration in that. And yes, it's going to be a risk. It's going to be an unknown, right? So in terms of dating and relationship, we want to be actually dispersing that investment draft lever, not in proportion to how full force our I like them, I like them, I like them lever is going, but actually in proportion to their investment lever, right? So we invested a bit. We're like, okay, are they investing? Does this feel like a wise place to continue investing based on reciprocation of investment? Yes, no? Okay, cool. I'm going to pump the brakes, or I'm going to like invest more. So it's such an important thing to understand within the context of relationships, investment. And when I say investment, I mean time, I mean energy, I mean money, I mean fantasy and imagination, I mean attention, I mean resources. I mean, like, we are putting all kinds of investment into this bucket that is a person, right? In the instance that I'm currently speaking about. And the reality is, it's simple. And sometimes we forget. The reality is, the more invested we are, the more invested we are, right? If we've invested in something, we're invested in it. Literally, right? So if we have invested a ton of fantasy daydream time, a lot of energy, a lot of time spent together, XYZ, blah, 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 into a person that we're getting to know in a dating capacity, when and if they start acting shady and being evasive, or, not behaving towards us or treating us in a way that we would ideally want, if we're invested, we're more invested, right? We're more emotionally invested. It makes it more of a consideration to extricate ourselves from that situation, right? Which is why we want to invest wisely and invest in people who are investing in us. Because I'm going to guess most of us have had the experience of being very invested in someone who wasn't that invested in us, right? And again, the more invested we are, the more invested we are. The more invested we are, the bigger deal it is to recollect our chips, right? Recollect our emotion, our time, our energy, and move on. So the way that I explained this recently to the girls in Magnetics Love School is, let's say that you were waiting at a restaurant, right? You didn't have reservations. You went with your friend to a restaurant and you were really looking forward to this place. They have great vibes. They have great mezcal. You're just like, yeah, this is where we're going to get into it. We're going to have some great conversation. Like you've been like investing time and fantasizing about it during the week because you know it's coming, right? You're excited. You're invested in eating at this place. So you get there, they're like, do you have reservations? You're like, oh shit. Nah, I don't. How long is the wait? And they're like, okay, well, it's going to be about an hour, right? So you're like, oh God, okay. Well, I really want to go here. I'm energetically invested, fantasy-wise invested. I really want to go here. We drove out here. Yeah, okay, let's wait an hour. Yeah, we'll go for a stroll. We'll see what's up. We'll watch our phone, etc. You decide that you're going to wait. Every minute that goes by up to that hour is an investment in that experience happening, right? So you're starting to get hungry. You're and a friend, you're getting a little cranky. You're just like, ugh, the night isn't starting off on the best foot. You're like, and then it's like 30 minutes and you're like, okay, well, like we've already waited 30 minutes. Let's just keep waiting. Your friend's like, do you want to maybe see if that place around the corner is open? And you're like, well, it's been 40 minutes already. Like let's just see, right? And then you're both getting hangry as fuck. It's like 45 minutes. You're like, ugh, it could be longer. They said at least an hour. Okay, fuck it. Let's just go to this other place around the corner, right? And then you get the call. You get seated, you order all your stuff, your drinks come, the chips come. That's when you know you're in. And you get the call from the other place that said, hey, we have a table ready for you. And you're like, fuck, I'm already at this other place. So anyway, I just kind of rolled with that. The real moral of the story and that was to show us how the more invested, the more time we've invested, the longer we've waited, the more we're like, okay, let's just make this one work out, right? So, choose your own adventure on the ending of that. Do you scarf down the chips and go back to the restaurant you invested in? Are you like, well, fuck, let's just eat here? Whatever. That's not really the point. The point is that we see how this plays out, right? The more invested you are, the more invested you are. So I want to bring this into the realm of investing in ourselves. So thinking about all the different kinds of investment, time, energy, emotion, money, fantasy, attention, resources, et cetera, right? There are infinite things, infinite types of resources, both tangible and non-tangible, that we can invest into something, even an idea, a person, right? So not just in a dating context, we could look at a parent and a kid, right? Not only did they birth that creature, but they have also invested, they're deeply invested in that creature's growth. They're deeply invested. Or me with my clients, right? I am invested in their growth. I'm like, I really want to see them thrive. I really care about seeing them thrive. So there are all these ways that we invest in other people. We invest, okay, let's lend a listening ear. Let's lend our sister some money. Let's spend this quality time, blah, 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 blah. We invest a lot in other people. We invest a lot in relationships, and we need to, right? Relationships require investment. And coming back to the dating space with this, we invest, and I guess just across the board, we invest where we expect to see some return on that investment, to get very literal here. We invest where we expect to see some return on that investment. So if we're investing into a growing relationship with someone we're just starting to date, we're investing, and yes, there is risk, and yes, we can calibrate that. We are investing because we expect that there's going to be some reciprocation. There's going to be a return on that investment. We're like, yeah, I want to nurture this, right? When we invest in something, we're nurturing it. So the question is, do you invest in yourself? And how do you invest in yourself? What parts of yourself or what parts of your life do you invest in? This is such a compelling territory to look at. Investment across the board, and especially investment in yourself. Investing in yourself is so powerful. It is a completely heroic act of self-love, and it is a way to demonstrate to yourself that you believe in yourself and that you care about yourself and that you trust yourself. So again, there's so many different ways that we can invest. I'm going to speak specifically about investing money into yourself. And I'm going to speak from experience here. I've invested so much money into myself, and I am really, really happy about that, because every time that I have invested into myself, my world has expanded exponentially and at rapid speed. And every single time it has been terrifying. Well, it gets a little less terrifying because you start to really believe in, oh, okay, like this is what's up. I know what the great things that happen when I invest myself are. So I first started to get curious about the coaching world. I read all these books and all these different people, and like they were all saying, okay, the best thing you can do to propel yourself forward is to invest in a coach. And I was kind of like, they're just kind of saying, are they selling something at the blah, blah, blah? Sometimes they are, but they're also selling what they believe in, right? I started reading that a lot. So I got kind of privy to this school of thought of like, okay, the way to really like put some skin in the game, really propel yourself forward is to invest in yourself, is to invest in your own learning, is to invest in your own growth. So when I hired my first coach, who I still work with, it was absolutely terrifying. So much money for me at the time. And I was just like, I almost like didn't want to tell my friends or my parents about it, because I was like, are they going to think I'm insane? Are they going to think I'm totally whack? And I did it, right? Because I knew that I was going to show up for my investment, right? I wasn't going to invest that money and not show up for the experience, right? I say this to my clients, it is a proverbial throwing your backpack over the wall when you decide to make a big investment. What I mean by that is like, let's say there's a wall you want to climb over, like everything you want to experience is on the other side of this wall. And you have your backpack, you have your keys, you have your phone, you have your wallet, you have all the shit you need. And by choosing to make a big investment, what you're doing is you are throwing your backpack with all your shit in it over the wall. And then you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm going over the wall now. Okay, like I guess I'm doing this. I can't not, right? But it's an energetic investment into your future self, into everything that you want to experience on the other side of the wall, that you are investing into accountability for yourself, and you're investing into, okay, I'm going to show up for this, right? So yeah, we want to choose our mentor as well, with like people who activate us, people that we feel really excited to invest in working with. But what I want to emphasize is that you're not really making an investment into the coach. You are making an investment into yourself through the coach. Right? So this is something I say to anyone who ever invests in working together with me. I try to put that into syntax, right? Try anyone who chooses to invest in themselves via working with me, right? I always emphasize, hey, congratulations on making this investment into yourself, really showing up for yourself in this way. Something that you may have heard me speak on before, depending on how long you have been in my space, is self-perception theory. So this is one of the psychological learnings that really resonated with me the most when I got certified in positive psychology. Again, another big investment. That was a really big investment, that certification. And it completely opened up my life, right? The network, what I learned, the quality of my life, right? Actually understanding the psychology of happiness, all of these things. So beyond worth it. So beyond worth it. And that was a scary investment, that certification. So one of the teachings from positive psychology that resonated with me the most is called self-perception theory. And this is understanding that in the same way that we infer qualities about other people by observing their behavior, right? So we see someone being very inconsiderate, being rude to the wait staff, not asking us how we're doing, XYZ, right? These are all observations of someone's behavior. And based on those observations, we infer, okay, like this person's kind of an asshole. This person kind of blows, right? Or on the contrary, we might observe someone investing in their growth and reading all the time and having challenging, uncomfortable conversations, XYZ, right? And we infer about that person based on those observations that, wow, that person is really committed to and invested in the pursuit of knowledge, right? The pursuit of learning. So in the same way that we infer qualities about other people based on observations of their behavior, we do the exact same thing with ourselves. We infer qualities about ourselves based on observations of our own behavior. So this is why behaving as if, one of the biggest steps in manifestation is behaving as if, right? Behaving like the version of ourselves who's already having or experiencing what we want to have or experience. Or why people say, you know, like fake it till you make it, dress for the job that I'm trying to like pull out the tropey shit, dress for the job you want to have, right? How we show up on dates, right? All of these things, stepping into confidence via observing ourselves being and conducting ourselves confidently. This is so fucking powerful. This is so powerful, this knowledge. This is psychological. We infer things about ourselves. Our self-concept is based on observations of our own behavior, which is why everything fucking matters. I was talking with the girls in the love school last week on our call about fuckboys and kind of like the cool girl trope, right? And how sometimes we might say with ourselves like, oh, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Oh, no one else knew. No one else saw this happen. Blah, 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 blah. You know who sees everything you do? You know who knows when you're out of integrity? You do. And you notice how you behave, right? So if you see yourself being duplicitous and behaving out of integrity, you're going to infer, into your self-concept, I guess I'm kind of shitty. I'm duplicitous out of integrity. Like you're kind of like, I don't know if I really deserve that. I don't know if I really blah, 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 right? It matters. It fucking matters how we see ourselves showing up. So when we see ourselves investing in ourselves, investing in our growth, investing in the version of ourselves we want to step into, investing in the future we want to have, a number of things happen. We see, I must really care about myself. Wow, look how invested I am in myself. By investing in myself, I feel more invested in myself. Damn, I must really care about myself. Wow, I must really be worth investing that into. Wow, what I want to experience through this investment is deeply important to me. And it's so important to me, in fact, that I'm willing to invest real money and skin in the game to show up for it. It's kind of insane. It's kind of insane, the energetic shifts that happen when we make investments in ourselves, right? It literally collapses time. It literally collapses time because it, in a very quick, very certain way, shifts our self-concept. Suddenly, we're taking ourselves seriously, right? Because we're showing up in a serious way. Suddenly, we're showing up in a serious way because we're invested. And what we're invested in, if it's ourselves, right? If it's anything, whatever we are invested in, right? So the more we're invested in ourselves, the more we care about ourselves. Oh my God. It's so powerful. It's honestly, sometimes people invest in working with me and like in the next week or two, they literally meet their partner or like we barely do a session and they meet someone, right? It's different for different people, right? Because for some people, there's literally, they just needed to do the energetic shift of communicating to themselves and the universe that this was a priority, that meeting a partner or thriving in their love life is a priority. And then their reality suddenly reflects that because their energy has shifted and they're suddenly showing up as if it is a priority because they have made it a literal priority. It's hilarious. I love it when that happens. And they're like, is this like, okay? Is like this, should I trust this as well? And I'm like, yeah. It's literally all you needed was an energetic shift of showing yourself in the universe that this is a priority and you were actually invested and serious. When it's an investment in a stretch zone, right? When it feels a little uncomfy, when it feels like a risk, that's when the real collapse of the timeline happens because we're like, whoa, hurtled over the wall. We're like, whoa, okay, whoa. I am the version of myself who just did this. Whoa, this is truly a priority to me. Let me show up for this. Whoa, I'm invested in this experience. Let me show up for this. And I'm speaking too from my own experience. I'm always investing myself. And that's why I love to attract clients who are always investing in themselves as well, because it's just like we get to do shit at rapid speed because we're not fucking around, right? We're not fucking around. We're really showing up for it when we're invested. So what I will say, I mean, there was the big positive psych certification investment. There's the investment in working with my private coach who I still work with. There was the investment of when I did this big business accelerator, which I did that a year ago, that completely rocketed my shit out of the water. And because I put the skin in the game, right? And I remember before I invested in all of these things, and I'm in a mastermind, I'm constantly investing money in myself. And I'm stoked about that, right? Because what we spend money on is what we value. So it can be really, really enlightening, maybe even confronting, to look back at our bank statements and be really honest with ourselves about what do I say I value? And what does my bank statement reflect that I value, right? Based on what I'm investing in. And as I mentioned, I'm speaking specifically about investing in yourself via working with coaches or mentors or learning experiences. And you can invest the time in the learning, right? If money isn't on the table right now, you can invest the time. There's so much free content on the internet. You can teach yourself anything. You can put the time in, you can invest the time. There's so many different ways to invest. So just as an additional caveat, my biggest expense is coaching, is learning experiences, is new certifications and mentorship and trainings. I spend a shit ton of money on this and I feel fucking fantastic about it because I always see the return on investment. I always see the return on investment. And this is part of how I've been able to grow so quickly, both my business and my personhood in a pretty short, actually very short amount of time, right? It's because I put the skin in the game and it's kind of scary, but that's what gets me to show up. And if I'm thinking about what I value, which is learning and the pursuit of knowledge and sharing those learnings and growing and just really exploring what it is to be a human on every level and seeing what I could get away with and experiencing the highest quality of life that I can, I feel that the way I spend my money really reflects those values. So I remember before I had made any kind of investment, even when paying for therapy seemed oh, do I really need it? The question we get to ask ourselves is, what the fuck else are we investing in, right? If not ourselves, if not our life, if not our learning, if not our experience, what the fuck else are we investing in? How much money do we spend on beer, right? How much money do we spend on takeout, right? And this is not to say, hey, if you feel great about spending money on whatever you're spending money on, awesome. But where are we spending money? Where are we investing? Where there's actual return on that investment, actual positive exponential return on that investment in terms of what we see that creating in our lives. Pretty much every time I've made a big investment in myself, and it's something I'm much more in the habit of doing because it's just kind of the status quo for myself at this point. And it's also, I'm in the coaching world. Coaching world's all about investing in yourself. I'm surrounded by people who invest in themselves. But reflecting back on before that was normal for me, back when I was oh my God, are people going to think I'm insane? Or get what? Can I do this? Is this okay? Do I really need this? Pretty much every time I've made a big investment in myself, I have been well, I could just not. I could just not. Do I really need that? Do I blah, blah, blah? And the question that I always come back to is, but do I want to? Do I feel a deep longing for this knowledge? Do I feel a deep longing for this experience? Do I want to? It's not about do I need to. It's do I fucking want to? How am I being led by desire? And how am I fulfilling my own desires, and especially around learning, especially around pursuit of knowledge. What a beautiful thing to invest in premium experience and premium learnings. Oh my God. And every time I make that investment where I'm like, okay, you know what? Last time I invested in myself, here's what blew up in my life in XYZ types of ways. And I'm saying this, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, coming from, I'm about to make another one, right? I'm about to make another big investment. And I do feel that fear. I feel that stretch zone. And I also feel that certainty of just like, yeah, that's what I need to do. That's the next step. That's who I need to learn from next. Okay. Yeah. What do I want? Where do I want to be? How is the version of myself who already has those things, who already experiences those things? How is she behaving? Oh yeah. No brainer. Okay. No brainer. Let's fucking go. And this is a huge reason why my programs are priced at a premium as well. Number one, I feel incredibly nourished. So I show up with full force. Number two, it nourishes my investment into myself, which is always learning knowledge-based, so that I'm constantly deepening that and bringing even more value to my clients. Number three, the people who show up for the experiences like Magnetics Love School are highly invested. They're ready to show up. That's how we collapse the time together. So it's really powerful. It's really powerful. So anyway, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. You're going to see that as you invest in yourself, you might just become invested in yourself. You might just start to care about yourself more. You might just start to see, I'm worth investing in. It's one of the things that have built my confidence the most, taking these kinds of leaps and investing in myself and what that has done for my self-concept. So wish me luck as I go invest in myself, and I wish you luck as you go invest in yourself. I hope this was helpful. I hope you found value in this. And please, if you feel inspired, if you feel compelled, I would so appreciate you leaving a review for the podcast. We read them all. It would mean a lot. Have a great night. Have a great day. Have a great morning. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Pillow Talk Radio. I'm Cora Boyd, and make sure to subscribe so we can keep you in the loop. In the interim, you can find me on Instagram at the Cora Boyd, YouTube Cora Boyd, website coraboydcoaching.com. Have an excellent rest of your day, night, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are, and we'll catch you next week.